Hello, welcome back. Yep, I'm up. It's after 3 a.m. my time, but I'm up. I made the mistake of taking a nap earlier this evening, and so I was able to watch the whole game. Here, I thought I would maybe watch the half and fall asleep, but I was a dumb and took a nap, and I watched that debacle, which is what it was. Um, Stanford's not good. They're horrible, actually. They have an interim head coach, Frank Reich, who, if you're as old as I am, in your 40s, you might remember him from your childhood. He led a playoff victory in a comeback victory when he was the Bills quarterback. Jim Kelly was hurt, and he played for him and led some ridiculous comeback victory in the playoffs in the early 90s. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Frank Reich doesn't even want to be there, to be honest. But this game, by people that have been long connected to FSU, that have covered the program, like Jeff Cameron, Gene Williams from War Chant, and others, that if you're watching this, you probably know the others, circle this game like, okay, Mike's probably going to get fired, but lose to Stanford, and he's going to get fired expeditiously. So I would expect by Monday at the latest, it's announced that FSU's parting ways. Buyout be damned. Tom Lang from War Chant pointed out, I think it was a Harvard business study done like 2 years ago. So not exactly up to date enough when it comes to NIL and stuff, but still, it was a fairly recent study where they're like, when it comes to this like kind of lame duck head coach situation, or a coach you know that he ain't the guy, it's not the one, you should move on. The cost benefit analysis almost always says you should move on sooner than later, because what happens is what you'd expect. When you're losing and fans lose confidence in the head coach, this study estimated you lose 15 to 20% at the gate with attendance. You lose up to 25% in booster donations, and then you lose, just a handful of $1 million from concessions and parking and merchandise and other stuff. So it's best to just, rip the Band-Aid off and do it now. So that's why I'm not even that pissed. Like, this is a game you went into, if you're a rational FSU fan. It felt like a win-win situation. Like, yeah, I hope they win, right? But if they lose, you know what that means. That means a new coach is likely on the way, and then hope springs eternal, and you can get excited about that. You get that new coach smell. But this game was a shit show from the beginning, literally from the beginning. They had a delay of game before their first offensive snap. They had 2 delay games in total in the first quarter. They had an offsides on a missed field goal by Stanford to give Stanford new life, who I believe they eventually punched it in for a TD. I think in totality, excuse me, they had over 10 penalties. That offsides on the field goal attempt, I believe, was Edwin Joseph. And I have someone I know that was at the game said that before it became public on social media that, Mike went over to confront Edwin Joseph, and it was kind of like he had to be restrained because they were kind of going at each other, which that's never a good look. But from the beginning, especially the offense just looked pathetic. Like when Castellanos can't run, by run I mean like he's not 100%. Like you could tell he's a little less explosive now because of his injury to his ankle or whatever. Like he can get some yards if he has to, but it's just a little less explosive. When he's not like a true threat, the offense just it's going to fall apart. And of course, the first half, the defense, gave up, 11 play drive, 13 play drive. Like in the second half, they played better, but it was looking pretty bleak and pathetic. And then, of course, what kind of made it even more sad was Stanford lost its starting quarterback, and they had a backup quarterback that's a true freshman come in. And they also lost their starting running back. And again, Stanford stinks. They're bad. They got a coach that doesn't want to be there. And you still lost. Now, they made it interesting at the end. I do think that Salchuk got in on that shovel play, but that's neither here nor there. Not so surprisingly. The call wasn't overturned, and Stanford won. But this is the death knell. Mike's gone. He's gonna be gone. Buyout be damned. Like, there's a Tom Lang from War Chant referenced Harvard, I think, business did a case study on like this type of situation with coaches that are on the hot seat, or like that it's likely that they're just done, like the fan base has lost interest. That cost benefit analysis showed that almost always you go ahead and fire sooner than later, because the cost of keeping him is just about as bad as the buyout. They estimated something like in that situation, teams typically lose, up to 15-20% in attendance and, gate revenue, up to 25% booster donations, millions of dollars in concessions and parking and merchandise, just all around a loss. So as this game was unfolding, and by the time the first half concluded, you kind of knew that even if Florida State did come back, Mike was probably going to be gone. Like, there was reports that, like, the big money people from FSU, we'll call them the brokers, they flew out to California to watch this game. Flew across the country. That's not normal for big money people to do that. It's almost like they wanted to get a close-up look at this shitty product, right? And they saw one. So it's done. He's done. Mike's now 1-10 in his last 11 ACC games. It'll be nearly Halloween the next time the Noles play, and they will have yet to win an ACC game this year. They're 0-4. It's been more than a year since they've won an ACC game. Just in case you weren't paying attention, the ACC stinks. So, it's not all bad tonight. Again, I wasn't rooting for the loss. Never will do that. But I don't feel sad. I don't feel heartbroken. None of those things. It's just kind of like shrug your shoulders. That was pathetic. That was sad. And it's time to move on. And thankfully, especially in this day and age when we're used to immediacy, we're not going to have to wait long. Again, we'll probably hear something tomorrow, if not Monday, that he's gone. It's a bye week coming up, so no sense in waiting too long. And you're going to start to see names coming out. Honestly, there's no slam dunk name on any hot board. Everyone has some kind of flaws. I could name a few, like, James Franklin doesn't win the big game. But you know what? I would take James Franklin in a heartbeat if it meant winning 10 games annually. Who are we as FSU fans to complain about that? Mike's about to be gone, but this season has a decent chance of being another losing season, which I believe would be like the 6th in the last 10 or 11 years. 6 losing seasons in the past 10 or 11 years. When I was a kindergartner, from that point till I graduated high school in 2000, the Noles were a top 5 ranked team. That record of 15 straight years. Right? And now they're on the precipice of 6 losing seasons in 10 years. It's really just wild. So I'm curious to see who the guys that have been following have been following FSU for a long time, like Jeff Cameron and the guys from War Chant, what names they hear. Because again, every one of them probably has flaws. Like, unless you're convincing Nick Saban, which I doubt they are. There's no guy you look at, whether it's Franklin, getting win the big game, Lashley, lack of experience as head coach, Kiffin would even leave Ole Miss to come to Florida State in the ACC. Hartline, who's in his first year as being a coordinator, right? Lack of experience. Manny Diaz, which, whatever, but he's a guy that's doing a decent job at Duke and plays good defense. Georgia's defensive coordinator. You're gonna hear a lot of names. A Golish from USF, G5 guy. Can he hang with the big boys? Would it be another Mike hire? There's gonna be so many names come out where you're gonna be like, you're not gonna feel like, oh yeah, that's a guaranteed home run. But honestly, you're maybe not going to hit a home run this cycle. Maybe you can just hit a triple. And honestly, as a Florida State fan, over these last, 10 years, basically, I'll take a triple. I will not complain if the next guy annually wins 10 games. Oh, he can't win the big one. Well, you know what? The guy we currently have can't win an ACC game. 1-10 in his last 11 ACC games. I mean, tonight this team was just uninspired, undisciplined, just completely slapstick. They lost to Stanford, who had to play like the second half of the game with their backup quarterback and backup running back, and I believe a backup offensive lineman. I think one of their starting linemen got hurt tonight. 13 points you scored. Florida State's defense was awful in the first half. They turned it around in the second, got some stops, which I would hope, since you're facing a backup true freshman quarterback. But, it's like you found another way to lose. You found a way to, pull defeat from the jaws of victory. Like, it's done, dude. And I would think after this loss, there's nary an FSU fan still saying, well, I don't know if we should fire Mike. Like, are you on Mike's payroll? Are you out of your fucking mind? Like, he's fucking toast. Again, I think I said in my last video, I appreciate 2022 10-win season. 2023 was awesome. My God. The snub sucked, but just 13-0 was so much fun. Like, every game I had a victory cigar. In every weekend, planning watch parties with neighbors. Everyone's into it. It's just fun. Walking around, your workplace with the Florida State apparel on, everyone kind of gives you the knowing nod, or out in public. Those were fun seasons, but that seems like a long time ago when you follow that up with 2-10, and now you're 3-4, 4 consecutive ACC losses, 1-10 in your last 11. You've dropped your last 9 ACC games. Reminder, the ACC sucks ass. He's done. And looking at his face, I think he knows he's done. He's got to. So I imagine if he gets shit canned, Gus will take over in the interim. And, we'll start hearing names. But with this new signing day in December, and, there's only one transfer day as well, like, you got to get someone lined up sooner than later. And so that's why maybe like a guy like Lane, who might make the playoff, forget that he might not be a candidate because he'll be too expensive. He might not be a candidate because he might not be available till January. And I would doubt FSU can wait that long to make a decision. Like, they'll likely start to have talks with people in the coming weeks. And then you'd think as soon as the season ends for whichever candidate, that's not in the college football playoff, that they announce that hire, in December, probably. Early December. So, we'll see. Again, I'm not even upset. I'm just kind of like apathetic, which I think I mentioned in my last video. But then again, a part of me is like, I'm kind of pleased. In some ways, I'm pleased. Not that they lost, but knowing that what needs to happen is going to happen very soon. It's what's the old cliche? If something should be done eventually, it might as well be done immediately or something like that. I might have botched that quote, but he's about to kick rocks. Just completely unacceptable. I mean, UVA and Pitt were one thing. Those aren't good teams, but they at least have good records right now. I believe they both won today, so I think each of those teams are like 5-1, 6-1, respectively, right? But then you lose to 2-4 Stanford. Last I checked, Stanford, I don't think they spend more NIL than you. I don't think they do. So it's just, there's some finality to tonight's loss. It's not another loss and then let's just keep watching this thing be terrible. It's, all right, this is a loss and we're about to move the fuck on. Obviously, can't fuck up this hire. And whoever you hire, please try and find a way not to get completely bent over with the buyout. And that's another convo, by the way. This buyout shit that coaches get nowadays is ridiculous. In what industry can you get shit canned and then get paid for like years after you're shit canned? Like, to me, there needs to be some kind of like max buyout. Like, the max buyout is 1 year salary. That's it. Sorry, not sorry. Never mind the amounts of the salary. Now that players are getting paid, we know how much they're getting paid. Because, let's be real, they were getting paid under the table before. But now we know how much some of them are getting paid. I think Corey Clark mentioned this analogy. It's like these coaches make like 10x their best player. So imagine a world like Pat Mahomes. He mentioned Pat Mahomes. His total contract's like $450 million. Imagine if Andy Reid's contract was $4.5 billion, like 10x. So that's another conversation for another day. But either way, time to move on. The only coach I want you to get, and it's not a name, it's just qualities I want. Number one, you have to get a fucking recruiter. Like, I get it. NIL is the top priority for recruits nowadays, or at least for the elite ones. But it's not the end-all, be-all. The NIL will get you in the door with those top recruits. But can you sell them on your vision? Can you stay in frequent contact? Is your staff relentless with calling and visiting? You know, can you use that NIL that helps open the door to go ahead and close some deals? That's the guy you need. That's the staff you need. All right. Beyond that, just give me a competent guy with X's and O's who hires competent coordinators. But number one priority, give me dogs on the trail. Because again, if it don't, like, Mario's a clown. Like, Miami just lost yesterday, which was hilarious. But even for all of his stupidity on game day, he's recruited well enough where his floor is going to be like 10 wins in the ACC. As it should be if you recruit any kind of decent way. Mike obviously hasn't done that. Not even close. So you got to see who they can hang on to with this current class. See who they can hang on to with the current players, i.e., please lock up. Make sure Chroma and Danzy don't go anywhere. By the way, Chroma had 4 carries. 4 carries. That's it. Just gross incompetence all around. You know, and it's just wild to me how Mike has been like this. It's just like you start out 3-6, 5-7, and you kind of excuse it because first 2 years and you were taking over shit show. Then it's 10-3, then it's 13-1, and then it's 2-10. Now you're 3-4. It's nah, dude. Okay, I'm gonna stop rambling now. I'm coming up on 20 minutes. Tonight stunk as far as the outcome, but as far as the seeing the forest through the trees, the long-term outlook, the 30,000 feet view, I would at least be excited because a change is coming. So get ready for it. All right. Next time I'll get on, hopefully it'll be with some hot board names that are actually like realistic candidates that are being thrown around. Well, that's it. That's all. Jesus. 6 years, plenty of time. Sorry, dude, but you're gone.